Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Astrology for Beginners. This is a discussion of the mystical meanings behind the glyph of Capricorn in the zodiac. Now this is video number 16 of 30. They all run for about 10 or 15 minutes each, and you can find them in a playlist on my channel. It's very easy to find, and it'll be there right next to the monthly tarot readings which I provide. But today we're talking about the 10th cosmic impulse, which is represented by the sign of Capricorn. Now, Capricorn has been seen as a goat, as a sea goat, that is half goat, half fish. It's been seen as a unicorn. In Hindu astrology and Hindu tradition, it is seen as a crocodile, and it's also been seen as a ram, that more masculine sign of a goat, but goat and ram together. Now, geometrically, of course, now there are a number of different symbols there, more than any other sign, and geometrically there are a number of signs, symbols as well that you can find for Capricorn, which stands some testimony, I suppose, to the complexity of the Capricorn personality. Here's a horizontal line with a circle down the bottom. Here's a V with a circle to the right. Here's a circle at the top with the V and the arc coming in this way. Here's a circle to the top with the arc going that way. Well, let's talk about first of all the unicorn, which is a mythical beast. It, of course, is a horse. It has a horn coming out of the middle of its head. Now, what else is associated in your mind with the middle of the head? Well, the third eye, the pituitary gland, which is in the brain just there. And so what Capricorn symbolizes is the conscious will to merge personal consciousness with the universal life force. And that is done by spiritual training, but in particular by, if you like, training the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is, I won't go into the subject now, but the pituitary gland is very important when we're talking about the Kundalini life force and the movement up of different chakras. Ultimately, it leads to the opening of the 1,000-petaled lotus, which is enlightenment. And then there is the crocodile of Hindu tradition. Well, the crocodile, whatever else you may say about it, once it clamps hold of something, it never lets go. And that's a feature of the Capricorn personality and of this 10th divine impulse, which is found in Capricorn. Now, remember in the last video that under Sagittarius, there was a spark that came to the individual, a spark whereby the individual had a flash of cosmic unity. And that flash of cosmic unity awakened in the individual the desire to then go ahead and deal with the matter that was attached to it and see if it could overcome the conflict between the two. Well, Capricorn is the link in this impulse between matter and material pleasure. And there's nothing wrong with material pleasure, provided it's not taken out of, provided it's not done to excess. Well, like anything, moderation in excess rather than an excess in moderation is my motto. So Capricorn links, I suppose, that impulse that we saw in Sagittarius, where there was that flash of cosmic unity, to now say, I'm going to start to be able to move materially to free the soul from its material bondage. But as I say, with the development of the pituitary gland by the mystic, this often means that there is some austerity involved under Capricorn. And what it does require to move forward and to make use of the Capricorn energy, or bad things result, is ethical living. And by ethical, I mean doing the right thing within the capacity, the genuine, honest capacity of yourself to do it. And that will be different for each person, but you know your conscience speaks to you, and you are the only person who has access to your conscience. Nobody else can see into your conscience, but you can. And so there is requirement there for not only austerity, but it doesn't mean lack. It just means putting things in proportion, and to also then have this desire to go out and to do good, and in particular, to do good work for other people. The goat is the symbol of this, I suppose, and you can go about this in everyday life. The goat is a symbol for it. It's a classic example, I suppose, because the goat at first instance seems to be meek and it seems to be weak, but in fact, it's not like that at all. It is in fact extremely self-confident, and it's also extremely strong. In fact, its self-confidence, strength, and sure-footedness permits it to climb up sheer mountain faces. So the goat is a good animal symbol for the sign itself. The impact of this 10th cosmic impulse in Capricorn, Capricorn being the 10th sign, of course, is very, very strong. It delves deep to within the soul below, deep within the soul in you, and the external you cannot resist it. The deeper levels of the soul are stirred, and the outer physical being is unable to resist it. Now let's have a look at these geometrical symbols, shall we? And see what we can make of them. Well, does there need to be four? That's the first question you might ask at yourself. I don't know, but I will say this. I want to look at this first one first up here. And this is beginning with a horizontal line. Now we see this horizontal line. It indicates nature. It indicates the feminine aspect and the feminine principle of matter and form in manifestation, in physical manifestation. We've seen that from the previous video on what lines and crosses means. But having reached the terminal point, having reached the end of the line here, that's not the end of the story, is it? According to the symbol, not at all. The soul is again put to trial. The journey has not ended. It has to travel further, it seems, and form another realm of manifestation and transcend it. So from this terminating point of the soul and nature, of the soul in nature, I should say, what happens then is that there is an arc moving downwards. And doesn't this remind us of the creative process that we've spoken about in previous videos? So we won't go into it in detail here, but here is this creative process that's going on here again until the wholeness of the circle is reached. And you know what the circle means. The picture really is one of attainment, but that further tasks are yet to be accomplished. Now the other symbols here, each in their way, have an aspect of the circle in there. They just place them in different places. They have an arc that's associated with them. This one has an arc going out, this one has an arc going in, this one has an arc going in. What's the difference between then, in essence, between this sign and these? Well, you can see quite clearly it's this V here, isn't it? It's a V. And really, that is like a funnel through which there is the downpour of divine energy for the further work, to assist you in the further work which has to be done to fulfill the divine plan. That's about the only way I think that mystics have read that. I have no difficulty with that myself. I might also say that there are other beings in reality that don't exist on this plane. You might call them angels. There are other things which are not angels that do also have an interest in and have an influence over the affairs of this material universe and over you, me, and everything on earth, in addition to what we do and in addition to the divinity. And they also can add blessings and help to come down in here for this new set of work, this new creativity that has to happen through this arc. Now, you probably will most often see, maybe in the Hindu astrology, you might see this one here and this one here. You very often see this V being represented as Capricorns themselves. Now myself, what do I personally think? I personally think this one sums it up better than anything else, because what we're talking about here is we can take it as read that there is a downpour of divine assistance, a downpour of divine energy, because it's always the case in this life. You are always with the divine. You might recall in the conversation that we had with Sagittarius that the charioteer in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjun, he was talking to what was the incarnation of the divine, as if that was just something that was around always. And of course it is. So this is always happening, I think. But where the real thing comes into place here is to say, given the cosmic plot that we have fulfilled from the point of Aries to where we are now, this is where the soul has gone through, said, I'm getting out of manifestation, I'm just about to go, hits a dead end, metaphorically speaking. And it said, no, there's further, and this is the feminine female principle of creation. And then it said, no, you're arcing into creativity again, you're coming into the wholeness of divine unity and moving on. So personally, I prefer that one. I think it actually sums up mystically what's happening with the energies of Capricorn better than any of the other signs. But you will see these around, and so I've shown them to you for your own interest's sake. The next star sign, glyph that we're going to do would be that of Aquarius. And so until then, remember that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, it's bye for now.